Yeah. Well, at the first page, you should notice that we are not UniC anymore. There's a long and good reason for that, but basically the people at the NOC and the people running the Danish research network has been transferred from UniC to DTU, which is one of the major universities. At the same time, there's been some renaming, so it's not the research network anymore. It's the Danish E-Infrastructure Cooperation, which is meant to incorporate the network and some computing as well. The computing side, however, is fairly new. So basically, the network is doing what the research network used to do. So, at next page, we have a slide overview, and you can see that our network is quite a bit smaller than, for instance, the Finnish. Actually, it's a very small network because Denmark is a very small country. We have close to 2,000 kilometers of fiber, and out of those, about 1,200 kilometers is managed VDM, meaning that we have some Alcatel system which uses DVDM on the fiber. Then I assume we have about 300 kilometers of unmanaged VDM, meaning we have a lot of CVDM system, which is all passive. And then I assume it's about 500 kilometers of last mile fiber. You may swap those two figures, it really doesn't matter a lot. There's the managed side, and then there's the unmanaged side. The customers on the Danish research network is primarily universities, and then there's a group of minor institutions as well. I assume it's about a total of 60, but you can count them a little differently depending on what you want. The 10 universities is most important because they pay most of our salary. So they are indeed very important. There's also the difference that in the way the research network is paid. The universities have to be a member of the research network, while the others can be a member of the research network. So the universities is the bread and butter, and we have to focus on them. The staff is a total of about 40 people, ranging from PR and multimedia, a lot of different people, and about 7 of us is NOC related. Yeah, next page. We try to cover those areas. Let's start in the bottom, the basis. We do connections, and just like the Finnish side, we have quite an interest in pure connections. The universities uses those connections to establish an intra-university area, and they connect the different locations of the universities through our connections. And of course, one user for the connections is the IP networking. We use, just like FUNET, we use Nordonet as our main international IP provider. Then we have a connection to the Danish Internet Exchange as well. Well, it's housed in our rooms, and we manage the switch in there, so of course we're connected to that one as well. And of course we do some IPv6 and some IPv4 on this layer. The services is well, all the things that needs to be in a network. The name service, there's some NTP service, there's some SMTP relay. Then we got a file share, which is based on the file center, the Norwegian stuff. And above that we have multimedia support, which is video conferencing, and Adobe Connect as another video conferencing system. We don't have a Dike TV or a Dike phone company like they do in Finland. We stick to the basic services. I did put on here international relations as well. Well, actually, international relations is part of the Dike management side, where some of the guys work very heavily in especially the computing international relations. But the NOC actually do some. For instance, we take part of the RIPE systems, the RIPE meetings. We attend the EuroX meetings. We attend Terena conferences, and of course we cooperate with the Nordonet, which is our most important international player. So on the next page we take the people, and on this page I removed the international relations, and that's due to it's not a set task for the NOC. It's some of the people who likes to join in. For instance, the RIPE meetings, they attend when they see, oh, now this is exciting for me, and they go there. So we try to let everybody have a go at the international relations. Other than that, if we start at the connections again, we have 3 people. Tom, which only does connections. Istvan and Hans is the main people doing the connections, and especially when we talk about the Alcatel system, they are able to operate that. Hans and Istvan and Ulrik is doing all the CVDM stuff, getting out, putting fibers in place, measuring why it doesn't work, and so on. That's a lot of Istvan and Ulrik who does that. Then on the IP side, Hans likes to do some, and especially the smaller connections is something he does. Ulrik does a lot of customer services as well. That means that when some institution wants us to be more involved in their network, we are able to help them, and Ulrik is doing a good job there. As the main users are the universities, they have expertise IP departments, and we certainly don't have to help them. Well, we can work with them, but they do the job themselves. But some of the smaller institutions actually likes us to help set up their router, help set up their firewalls, help monitor systems, and so on. Another thing Ulrik does on his own, that's administering our local LAN, giving our secretaries and all the other people who don't want to know a lot about basic networking. They have their Windows network and runs happily on that, and Ulrik is one who actually knows Windows. Most of us in the NOC doesn't. At least not. We're not able to set up a functioning LAN setup. More than that, we have Bo and Anders working on the IP networking. Anders is the most skilled BGP man, and Bo is working very close to him. So whenever we talk about BGP, when we talk about firewalling, Bo and Anders is the key persons. They always also do a little of the services, but as you can see in the top, we have some strange guys in parentheses. Søren, Erik, and Torben. Those are the people who used to do that in the UniC time. and they actually still handles the SMTP and the DNS. CERN is handling some spam filtering. So they work together with us, but it's not directly part of the NOC. On the next page you see the systems we work with. And again, if we start at the bottom, we have a standard wiki, very plain and simple. And this one is used to document all the fibers we got. The fibers and the connections we buy from somewhere is documented in here. The routerconf is a static, manually updated database. And this is actually very important because it tells us how the world should look. Once again, how the world should look like. Of course, we can go into the router and see if there's a route to some network. But if a link is down, then the route will have disappeared, and we can't see which IP addresses some institutions should have. We can see that in the routerconf, and that's why it's very important. We used to have some MRTG, but the system of updating the page and especially cleaning out the dead links is quite rotten, so it isn't very nice at the moment. Observium is a good system to make all kinds of monitoring, and the network staff, especially Bo and Anders, is using that a lot, because Observium simply picks up everything from a router. So you're able to get into the system, and you don't have to think much. The answer is there. You just have to find it. On the other hand, there's too much information to just let the customers go in there and look themselves. Then we're working with the NAV to monitor things. The NAV is a Norwegian system which was pushed pretty hard by the Norwegian NREN. So we didn't stand up to the pressure and accepted, well, we have to use NAV. And actually the system is quite good. Helps us to make the alarms we need. We have an Alcatel network management system. There's no choice in that. Just like the Finnish people, we got a DVDM system, and we have to stick to the crappy NMS, which is part of the system. Then we started, if we take the OTRS first, that's a ticketing system which we have been using for almost 2 years. And we realized that the OTRS is very good for quick problems. So when there comes some notice and we can solve it very quickly, then the OTRS is a good system. But to do any kind of project planning which takes maybe half a year, the OTRS is really not very good, because it gets mudded with the old things that just stay there. So we have tried starting up using Redmine as a tool to the longer running projects. We're not done yet, so I really can't say much about the status of the Redmine, but we believe in it until now. Yeah, the next page is simply going through the stencil you sent and trying to answer the questions here. So which infrastructure we have? That's mostly fiber and collapsed backbone. We have very little edge routers. We try to have some, because the Alcatel system is simply too expensive and too difficult to handle redundancy at the customer premises. But basically it's a collapsed backbone. We have very few core routers. And those core routers are the Cisco 7600. And what we are going to move to, I don't know. I don't like Juniper. but maybe we'll go there. I don't know. Which services we offer? Well, connection services and IP services. That's the most important thing. And the tools, well, I mentioned those. Telnet is a very important tool because we can connect to the routers. And what you can do on a command line, that's good. What you need a browser to do, that's not quite as good. The NOC structure. The staff is working 8/5, meaning that we have regular working hours. And the reason we say 8 hours, 5 days a week, that's because we never managed to have some real payment for 24/7. We intend to have one, and I think the agreement is pretty close, but we're not there now. And it's actually a problem because we used to do best effort, which means that everybody logged into the mail at least and to see if there was a problem. And we don't do that as much anymore as we used to do. But still, some of the staff arrives at work at noon and then leaves at midnight. And while they're there, well, they might as well fix some problems. So actually, we do have more working hours than 8 hours a day, and some of the weekends actually are spent as well. But basically, we can be contacted at these hours. The NOC is centralized, meaning that all the 7 people live in the Copenhagen area, which is on the side of Denmark. But we use hands-on at the universities. So the universities are actually paid to have a pub and spend at least some hours helping us setting up things. The different kind of tools, there's no tool integration at all. Well, that means that, for instance, when the NAV does give an alarm on SMS, it also sends a mail, and this mail does go into the OTRS system, but from there we have to pick it up by hand and do things about it. The same about documentation. We need to write the documentation by hand. One of the tools I forgot to put on the slide was Rancid, which does a backup of router configurations, and that's done automatically, but then it just stores the router configs. What type of users are using our network and services? Well, we see institutional users. We see the universities. We see the IT departments of the smaller institutions. So that's our focus. From time to time we do talk to real users, real end users, but it's not the way we are set up. We are set up to talk to, well, roughly intelligent people who knows their own network. How does the SLA or the agreements we have with our customers look? Well, we did a stunt because we was told that we needed to have a SLA. And we don't like SLAs because it's much easier, much better for us to simply do the best we can instead of having to spend time trying to convince people that we live up to a SLA. And the most important thing there is that our users don't want money, they want awareness. So the SLA actually doesn't say we have to pay our customers if their line goes down. But if a university is unconnected for just a very short time, then the managing director for this area is contacted and we have to deal with it. So the important thing is that we escalate very fast if some of the users are not connected. Then which tools are used to communicate? Well, mail to OTRS ticketing or phone. My phone number is in every mail I send. So when people need to talk to me, they just dial my number and talk to me. If they do that in the middle of the night, I'll most likely answer the phone, but they shouldn't expect me to remember what was said the next morning, so they better send a mail as well. But basically the OTRS ticketing is the way people should contact us, because then their problem is noted. Inter-NOC communication, well, that's another problematic area for us, just like it was in Finland. We use IRC, the chat. We use OTRS, we use phone, we use mail, and we simply go visit people. And to contact other NOCs, well, it's mail and phone. And then I noted here the TechRef group, which is some group that exists and have meeting every about 3 months. We invite all the universities and a few others to join in here, and then we have a meeting with typically about 25 people discussing things which they think they need to talk about. And that's actually a quite good kind of ERFA group, and it's been alive for several years, 10 or 15 years, and it's still working very good. Yeah, documentation. What do we document? Well, of course, we document the IP information, which is basically which IP numbers is given to which customers. And it's done by hand, so sometimes we make a mess, meaning we give the same IP addresses to 2 customers because the information wasn't updated. And that is really crappy. We have to sort it out. People get mad and so on. That's not very good. The connection documentation is again updated by hand, put in the wiki. The same about contacts, which is stored by hand. And then it's our job to update the contacts. The customers doesn't do that themselves, which is kind of bad, because we only realize that we should have some new contacts when we call them and say they get informed that, oh, they left the company 2 years ago. Shit. But I don't think we have a good means to have people update the information themselves. It's not important for the university or for the institution, as long as they don't have to report some error, and luckily they don't have to do that very often. So which tools are used to create and update the documentation? RouterConf, the database, is something we look at in a browser. We type in information. Rancid stores configuration, and the wiki stores the connections. Do we have a best practice document? No, we don't. The best thing we have is a list of configuration goodies, which we should store in every router, every edge router we put in place. Then we have some standard configurations, but no, we don't have a best practice document. From time to time, people try to tell us that we need to inform the customers 2 weeks ahead of doing any changes. We don't like that, because then we have to live with some error. And some of the errors we'd had actually was routers is about to go down, and we send out a message which we're going to turn it down in 2 weeks, and after 1 week it just crashed. So we prefer to do things as fast as possible and find some good time and say, now we have to do it. Yes, and that's it.
Okay, thank you. So we're running a little over time, but are there any quick question for Jan? No? Then thank you.